Family is sacred, but if it binds you to guilt and silence for years, is it still family? Do you sometimes have to learn to love yourself by letting go of people you think you can't let go of? I was sitting in my living room, staring at my phone, the screen lighting up with a text message: liver disease, early stage, surgery and treatment required. Estimated cost $100,000, 0 cents. My hands shook as I reread the message, the words blurring with tears I didn't want to shed. I was Bonnie, 34, a financial analyst from Austin, Texas, and right now I had $90, 0 cents in my savings account. $100,000 to save my life. My mind was racing, and then I realized $8, 0 cents, $8, 0 cents that I'd given to my brother Jake 3 weeks ago. Money I'd withdrawn from my emergency fund because he'd sworn to pay me back, money I needed right now for surgery. And where was he? Not answering my calls, not texting back. Probably somewhere living his carefree life while I sit here, drowning in panic. I picked up the phone and called him, my heart pounding so hard it felt like it was going to burst out of my chest. Once, twice, 3 times, still no answer. I immediately called my mom, Margaret, because maybe she could reach him. Ring, 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 still no sound. I slammed the phone down on the chair, my breathing coming in short, ragged gasps. I texted Jake. I'm sick and need urgent surgery. I need $8,000, 0 cents back now. Please call me. I waited. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, nothing. Then I texted my mom, Mom, I'm in trouble. I'm sick and I need Jake to pay me back. Please. Silence. I don't know why I expected anything different. Jake was 30 and he'd spent his life screwing things up while I cleaned up his messes. Lost jobs, lost bets, stupid ideas. He was a walking disaster. And me, I was the one in charge, the one who worked all week to make ends meet, paid the bills on time for our family. Over the years, I'd lent him thousands of dollars, $500, 0 cents here, $1, 0 cents there, each time promising to pay it back. I swear, Bonnie, this is different, he'd say, his eyes pleading, and each time I'd caved. Because he was family, because Mom would make me feel guilty, because I was an idiot who thought blood meant anything. But this last time, this was the biggest. 3 weeks ago, he showed up at my apartment looking terrible, shirt wrinkled, hair disheveled, eyes bloodshot. Bonnie, I need help, he said, plopping down in a chair like he owned the place. I've got this freelance gig lined up. It's a lot of money. I just need $8,000 to get started. I'll pay you back right away. I swear on my life. I stared at him, my stomach churning. I only have a fixed savings for emergencies. The $8,000 is in there. Jake, that's a lot, I said, my voice strained. You've never paid me back before. Why should I trust you? He grabbed my hand, squeezing it desperately. Because I'm your brother, because Mom would hate to see me fail again. Please, Bonnie, I'm begging you. I should have said no. I wanted to say no, but then he pulled out his mom card and I pictured her disappointed face, her voice echoing in my head. He's your only brother, Bonnie, family. So I did. I transferred the money right there. Anytime I ask, I said, pointing at him, don't lie to me. He grinned, hugged me, and promised the world. You're the best girl. I won't let you down. Back to tonight, sitting here with a death sentence on my phone and no way to pay. I couldn't stop shaking, but I needed something to distract me, anything to keep me from falling apart. I opened Instagram, scrolling aimlessly, and that's when I saw it, Jake's latest post, the video. He was on top of a building in downtown Dallas, lights flashing behind him, down on one knee. His girlfriend Lauren was there too, gasping as he slid a massive diamond ring onto her finger. The caption read, she said yes, saved for months to make this perfect. Love you, baby. The comments exploded, friends cheering, congrats, dude, and that ring is insane. I froze, my thumb hovering over the screen. Saved? Saved? Jake didn't have 2 nickels to rub together. That ring, at least $5,000. Rooftop rent, a few thousand more. The math hit me like a freight train. $8,000 again. Dial. Voicemail. Jake, it's me, I said, my voice calm despite the storm inside. I saw your post. Cute ring. Funny how it's exactly the same amount of money I gave you. I'm sick, really sick, and I need it back. Call me. I hung up. Nothing. I texted back, I know what you did. Call me. Still nothing. I called my mom back, left a voicemail. Mom, Jake stole money from me to propose when I was sick. Do something. Crickets. They were ignoring me, both of them, like I didn't exist. Like, I wasn't fighting for my life while he was out there playing the hero. That's when everything fell apart. Something inside me broke, but it wasn't despair, it was resolution. I stopped begging. I stopped waiting. I stopped being the easily trodden, forgotten sister. Jake thought he could take everything from me and walk away smiling. He was wrong. I leaned back in my chair, the darkness wrapping around me like a cloak. My phone buzzed. Another doctor's reminder. But I ignored it. I had bigger things to focus on right now, like how to make him pay, how to take back what was mine, how to destroy him so badly he'd never forget my name. This isn't over. It's just begun. I'm still sitting on the couch, phone black in my lap, but my mind isn't there anymore. It's going back through the years, digging into every moment that led up to this. When I stared at a surgery I couldn't afford, while my brother showed off the ring I paid for. People might wonder why I'm so angry, why I didn't give up on Jake long ago. They don't understand this isn't about one mistake. This is about a lifetime of being a punching bag, an invisible sister while he was the golden boy. It's about mom making us into a dysfunctional relationship where I was the mule and he was the prince. I need to say this to lay it all out because if I don't, I'll choke. Growing up in Austin, our house was small, 2 bedrooms, a leaky roof, and a weed-filled backyard. I was the oldest, 4 years older, and from the start, I was the responsible one. At 6, I'd wash the dishes, while Jake, at 2, hobbled around breaking things. I'd get grounded for not watching him closely enough, even if he snuck into Dad's toolbox and smashed the coffee table with a hammer. Mom would pick him up, exclaiming, "Oh, he's just a kid, Bonnie. You should have stopped him." I'd bite my tongue, scrub the dishes harder, and wonder why I was the bad guy. I'd bike to the library after school, studying math so I could pass the tests and maybe get a scholarship someday. And Jake, he'd stay home, lying on the couch, watching cartoons while Mom made him grilled cheese. "He's so energetic," she'd say, as if that excused everything. A memory emerged, sharp as a knife. I was 12, and I spent my summer days saving every penny to buy a bike. Nothing fancy, just a beat-up from the pawn shop worth $50, 0 cents. I counted the money in my sock drawer every night, dreaming of riding to school instead of walking the 3 miles. The day I made $50, 0 cents, I came home excited, ready to drag my mom to buy a bike, but the drawer was empty. I found her in the kitchen, humming, opening a shiny new Lego set for Jake. "Where's your money?" I asked, my voice shaking. She didn't even look up. "Oh, honey, Jake needs something to keep him busy. You're so good at saving, you can make it back." I stood there dumbfounded, watching 8-year-old Jake rip open the box, grinning like he'd won the lottery. I didn't cry. I just turned around, walked out, and vowed never to let them see me fall. It was the pattern. I worked, I saved, I sacrificed. Jake drifted away, and Mom made excuses. By high school, I was getting straight A's, working at a diner, and saving every penny to get through college. Jake was failing out of college, skipping class to smoke behind the gym, but Mom still bragged about him to her friends. "He's so hot," she said. "He'll understand." Meanwhile, I'd come home from a double shift, my feet aching, and she'd tell me to lend Jake $20, 0 cents for gas because he has a girlfriend. "Bonnie, don't be selfish." Selfish. That followed me like a shadow. After I moved away at 18, community college, then a degree, I struggled to get by. Jake's failures grew, and I became his safety net. First, there was the auto shop job. He lasted 3 months before quitting because the boss was an asshole. He begged me for $300, 0 cents to pay rent, vowing to pay me back when he found a new job. I wired the money, and he bought a replacement PlayStation. Then there was the coffee shop dream. I gave him $1.50 for startup costs. It collapsed within 6 weeks, and I later found out he'd spent half of it on marijuana. The worst was gambling. 2 years ago, he called me at 2 a.m., his voice shaking. "Bonnie, I owe these guys $2, 0 cents. They're gonna break my legs." I drove to his rundown apartment, handed over the cash, my rent, and watched him hug me like I had saved his life. "You're the best," he said, and he never mentioned it again. Every time I objected, my mother would get angry. "He's your brother, Bonnie. He's struggling. I have a good job. I can help." One time, I was furious. I'd just turned Jake down $800, 0 cents for a business idea involving custom t-shirts. Mom came to my house, red-eyed, sobbing. "He's all I have left since your dad left," she said. "If you don't help him, he'll be out on the streets and beaten up." I caved, wrote the check, and hated myself for it. The t-shirt thing never happened. He spent it on a weekend in Vegas with his friends. Mom called it a learning experience. It wasn't just the money. It was how they erased me. Jake's failures were adorable. My victories, invisible. I got my first real job at 23, entry-level analyst, $40, 0 cents a year, and my mom barely paid any attention, spending 20 minutes on the phone talking about Jake's new girlfriend. All she cared about was my brother saying, "Oh, Jake's thinking about moving to Dallas. How exciting." After that, I stopped trying to impress her. The tipping point came a month before the $8,000 0 cents loan. Jake had been staying at my house for a week, saying he was on a layoff. One night, I came home to find the refrigerator empty, my TV blaring, and him asleep on the couch with a half-eaten pizza. I later learned he'd paid with my credit card. I kicked him out, told him I was done. He called me the next day, laughing it off. "Calm down, Bonnie. You're so stressed. Family shares everything, right?" I hung up, but his words were still bitter. Family. That's what he always said when he needed something. And I always bought it because I thought that's what sisters did. Now, sitting here, I see it all so clearly. Every dollar I gave him, every excuse my mom gave me, it wasn't love. They kept me in their chaos and I let them, but the call after I saw the proposal video, that was the last straw. I'd leave him that voicemail, calm as ice. "I saw your post. It's funny how it cost exactly the same amount of money I gave you. I'm sick, really sick, and I need that money. Call me." He finally picked up after an hour, his voice fake. "Hey sis, what's up?" I told him about the surgery, about the $8,000 0 cents I needed. He laughed and said, "Bonnie, don't make a big deal out of it. Families have to share, right? I'll pay you back eventually." I didn't scream, I didn't swear. I just said, "Okay, Jake," and hung up. It wasn't about the $8 0 cents anymore. It was about every time I swallowed my pride, every time I let them walk all over me. I wasn't their bank, I wasn't their punching bag, I was Bonnie. And I wasn't going to play the fool anymore. They'd taken enough. My money, my time, my trust. Now it was my turn to take something back. The next morning, I woke up with a sense of clarity I hadn't felt in years. No tears, no panic. Just a cold, burning fire in my chest. Jake's laughter from that phone call echoed in my head, but it no longer crushed me. I wasn't the begging, the bowing girl anymore. I wasn't screaming into the void or waiting for an apology that would never come. I was taking action, quietly, sharply, and decisively. My phone was still silent, no calls from Jake, no texts from Mom. Good. Let them think I'd given up. Let them underestimate me one last time. They didn't know what was coming. I started with the basics. Inventory. What did I have on Jake? What was mine that he was using as if it were his? I pulled a box of old papers from under my bed. Lease agreements, titles, receipts, things I keep because I'm a neat freak, a forgetful person. First, the car, a 2018 Toyota Camry, silver. I'd bought it 3 years ago for $25,000, 0 cents, cash from my savings, because I needed a reliable car to get to work. Jake showed up a month later, recently laid off, complaining about his inability to drive. "Let me borrow it for a bit, Bonnie," he said, grinning. "I'll take care of it." Like an idiot, I gave him the keys. He never returned them, and I never pressed him. Too busy, too tired, too used to letting him win. But here's the thing, the title was still in my name, not his. Legally, the car was mine. I held the paper in my hand, the ink staring at me like a loaded gun. Next, the apartment. He'd been living in a one-bedroom in Dallas for the past year. A nice place, hardwood floors, a view of the skyline. He'd bragged about it constantly like he deserved it. "Finally, my own place," he'd said, posing for Instagram photos. But I remembered the day he'd signed the lease. He'd ruined his credit, too many late payments, too many stupid loans, and the landlord didn't want to touch him. So he called me, sweet and desperate. "Bonnie, I just need you to co-sign. I'll take care of the rent, I swear." Which I did because Mom was on the line nagging me to get him settled. My name was on the lease as primary tenant. He was just a tenant. The rent was $1,200, 0 cents a month, paid on my credit card because he forgot to send me cash. I paid half the time anyway, another $6, 0 cents over the course of the year. I clenched my jaw as I read the small print. I can terminate my lease with 30 days notice. First, the apartment. I logged into the rental portal, my fingers flying over the keys. I typed out a message to the property manager. "This is Bonnie Carter, master tenant of Unit 4B at 1123 Elm Street, Dallas. I am terminating my lease effective immediately due to unforeseen circumstances. Please acknowledge receipt." I hit send, and my inbox pinged 5 minutes later. Confirmed. Done. The landlord didn't care who lived there. My name was all that mattered. Jake had no legal standing to defend himself. He'd be home soon and the locks would be changed. I pictured his face, confused, then angry, and a small dark smile crossed mine. The car was harder, but I had a plan. I called my friend Tim, a guy I knew from the car flipping company. Oh, I'll terminate my lease, all right. I grabbed my laptop and started moving things. Hey, Tim, I said, my tone casual. You still looking for inventory? He growled in agreement. I've got an 18 Camry, clean title, runs great. Can you sell it to me for $6,000? He paused, then said, cash? I nodded, even though he couldn't see me. Cash. Quick deal. He agreed to meet me in Dallas that weekend. I didn't tell him why. Didn't mention Jake. Here was my move, my board. Next, I checked Jake's Instagram. Yes, he'd posted a story. Heading to Houston for bachelor party, living it up. Perfect. He was out of town, probably spending more money than he didn't have. That gave me a chance. Saturday morning, I woke up at the crack of dawn. I put on my shirt, grabbed the spare Camry keys, and drove the 2 hours to Dallas. My stomach churned. Not with anxiety, but with finally having the situation under control. I pulled into his building's parking lot, saw the Camry parked in 2 spots like he owned the place. It was Jake. Bonnie, what the hell? My car's gone. The apartment's locked. I can't get in. What did you do? I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. The family doesn't want their stuff back, right? That's what you said, so I figured the car was ours to share, just like this place. I guess it's my turn now. He sputtered. You can't do that. I need that car. I'll sue you. I laughed, short and cold. Sue me for what? The title is mine, Jake. And Elise, check your information. He turned away, his voice dropping to a whine. Come on, sis. Don't do this. Mom's gonna go crazy. Just give it back. I'll figure it out. I cut him off. Tell her whatever you want. I've already figured it out. I hung up, blocked his number, and poured myself a glass of water. My hands were calm now. He tried my mom next. I knew because she called an hour later, her voice shaking. Bonnie, what's going on? Jake's stuck in Dallas, says you took his car and kicked him out. Why would you do that to your brother? I took a sip, letting the silence drag on. Ask him where he got the money to buy that ring, Mom. Ask him why I'm sitting here with a surgery and no money for it. Then tell me it was my car and my apartment that he used. She caught her breath. I could hear it through the line, but she quickly regained her composure. Bonnie, he's family. You can't just... I cut her off steely. He's family that stole from me, Mom. I'll take what's mine. Deal with it. I hung up before she could guilt trip me. She would cry. She would call me evil, but I was too concerned. The real blow was still coming. I wouldn't stop at the car and the apartment. That was just the start. I'd stashed the evidence on my laptop, bank statements showing every transfer I'd ever sent him, screenshots of texts where he'd promised to pay me back, and the crown jewel, a voice memo from 6 months ago. He'd been drunk, venting to a friend on speakerphone while I was in the next room, silent as a ghost. Bonnie's so gullible, he'd spluttered, laughing. She kept giving me cash, thinking I'd actually pay her back. What an idiot. I'd recorded it, saved it, never thinking I'd use it. Now, it was my trump card. I was going to crash his engagement party next week, and I was going to bring the whole damn deck. The statement, the text, the recording. I wanted Lauren to hear it. I wanted his friends to see it. I wanted him humiliated, exposed, stripped before all the people he had fooled with that false charm. I leaned back, $6,000 in an envelope on the table. It wasn't enough for the surgery, but it was power. Power I hadn't felt in years. Jake thought he was invulnerable, thought I would overthrow him like I always did. He was wrong. This time, I didn't scream or beg. I was silent. It was the night of Jake's engagement party, and I was standing outside a fancy steakhouse in Dallas. The air was thick with Texas heat. I was wearing a black dress, simple but sharp, USB in my purse, envelope tucked under my arm. I'd spent the week preparing for this, transferring that voice memo to a drive, printing out new bank statements, formatting it all so it would show up cleanly and unmistakably on the big screen. Mom left voice messages I didn't hear. Bonnie, please come. It's a big night for Jake. Oh, I'll come. Okay. Not to clap for him, but to burn his little fantasy to pieces. I walked through the door and the hostess smiled, oblivious. Carter's party, I said. She pointed me into a private room in the back, all glass walls and yellow lights. Before I go to that party, I want to ask you this. If someone you love betrayed you over and over again, would you forgive them again? Or would you stand up? like I did? Leave a comment. I want to know what you would choose. Inside, it was like a magazine, long tables covered in white linen, vases of flowers in the center, a bar stocked with fine liquor. There were maybe 50 people, Jake's friends, Lauren's family, a few cousins I vaguely recognized. Laughter echoed off the walls, glasses clinking. Jake sat up front in his tailored suit, his arm around Lauren, who was glowing in her cream dress, her new ring catching the light. He was drunk, his voice loud and soft. And I just want to say, Lauren, you're my everything. I've worked hard to make the night you deserve. He had worked hard. He had. I slid aside near a guy in a polo shirt, fiddling with a projector. Hey, I whispered, handing him the USB. Play this when I give the signal, okay? It's a surprise for the groom. He seemed a little skeptical, but I gave him $100, 0 cents, and it was enough to wash his doubts away. Got it. His eyes lit up. I took a seat by the wall, blending in. Mom spotted me first, weaving through the crowd with that worried expression she'd perfected. Bonnie, thank God you're here, she said, taking my arm. Her perfume was heavy, floral, and cheap. You have to let this go. Jake's starting over. Be happy for him. I pulled my hand away, my voice low. I'm here for myself, Mom. Sit down. Her eyes widened, but she backed away, muttering something about me being stubborn. Good, let her think. Jake kept talking, gesturing loudly, and I promise, honey, this is just the beginning. Lauren smiled brightly, her parents nodding from the front table, all pearls and pressed shirts. I caught her father's eye. He looked like a rich man, the kind who wouldn't put up with liars. I stepped forward, holding out my hand to the tech. It was time. The projector buzzed, and the screen behind Jake flickered. His voice faltered as the slide appeared, a bank statement. My name in bold, $8,000, 0 cents deposited into his account, dated 3 weeks ago. A murmur rippled through the room. What is this? Someone muttered. Jake's face was white, his mouth open like a fish. Lauren's hand dropped from his arm, her ring finger trembling. What the hell, Jake, she said, her voice sharp, cutting through the silence. Her mother stood there, clutching her purse. Is this true? Jake staggered. Honey, Well, it's not what it seems, but I was already moving. I snatched the mic from him, gripped it tightly, and turned to the crowd. It's exactly what it seems, I said, loud and clear. That ring, my money. That rooftop proposal, my money. I'm Bonnie, his sister, and I'm not here to celebrate. I'm not here to make a scene. I'm here to correct a lie and take back what was mine. There was a gasp, a head jerking around. Lauren's father stepped forward, his face stern. You mean to tell me you're not paying any of this? Jake's eyes flicked. I was going to, but Lauren didn't wait. She yanked the ring off, threw it at his chest. It bounced off his tie and fell to the floor, and stomped away. Heels clicking, what a shame. The room was in chaos now. People were whispering. Some were taking out their phones to film. Jake's friends shifted awkwardly, one mumbling, dude, you're dead. Mom was sobbing, Bonnie, how could you? I ignored her, staring at Jake. He was crying, his suit suddenly too big for him. I thought you were going to take it, I said. Odd and poor girl. Jake rushed after me. Wait, let's talk. I didn't stop, didn't turn around. Talk to my lawyer, I called over my shoulder, my voice flat as steel. Mom grabbed my sleeve at the door, tears streaking her mascara. I pushed her away coldly. It's ruined everything, Mom. I just turned on the light. She gasped, but I was already out, pushing through the glass doors into the damp night. Behind me, I heard Jake yell, someone pick up that ring. And a crash, maybe a chair, maybe his ego hitting the floor. It didn't matter. I kept walking. The valet was staring, eyes wide, but I waved him off. My car was a block away, parked under a streetlight. I slid in, started the engine, and drove away, tires screeching on the asphalt. My chest tightened, not with guilt, but with a rush, pure, raw victory. I hadn't just ruined his party, I'd burned his entire farce. Lauren was free now, her family was done with him, and every guest there knew what a leech he was. The money from the Camry was still in my glove box, enough to start the surgery and that loan doctor. He'd pay or drown in legal fees. Either way, I won. I got on the freeway, Dallas shrinking in my rearview mirror. The night was dark, the stars bright above, and for the first time in a long time, I could breathe a sigh of relief. There was no more darkness to carry, no more chains. It was just me, the road, and the wreckage I left behind. Jake wanted a good night. I gave him a night he would never forget. 2 months had passed, and now I was sitting on the porch of my new home, a cozy one-bedroom near Lake Travis, all cedar walls and big windows. The sun was setting, turning the water golden, and I was sipping tea to warm my hands. I had enough money for the surgery deposit. I had a payment plan in place. Then I had surgery and my liver was healing. No more late-night panic attacks. No more staring at the phone, waiting for help that never came. I was free, really free. News spread quickly after the party. Lauren had dumped him that night. Her dad had blacklisted him from every business relationship he had, even his friends. Last I heard, he was staying with a cousin in Houston, unemployed, carless, and unwelcome in Dallas. He called me maybe 20 times, leaving voicemails that I deleted without listening to. First plaintive pleas, then curses when I didn't listen. The lawyer's letter silenced him. He didn't have the money to fight back, and I doubted he'd try. I didn't complain. I didn't need to. Knowing he was stuck in the mess he'd made was enough. My mother tells a different story. A week after the explosion, she sent a long text message, all in capital letters. "You ruined our family. Bonnie, I hope you're happy." I read it, let it sit, then typed back, "I'm happy now. I hope you find peace, too." That was it. No arguments, no drama. She hasn't contacted me since, and I'm okay with that. I thought I would feel empty without her voice in my life, but the opposite was true. I felt lighter. The cabin was quiet, except for the crickets and the waves, and I stopped looking back at her out of guilt. The real victory came later. After the surgery, I took the money I had left, about $2,000, 0 cents after bills, and bought a cheap laptop. One night, unable to sleep, I started typing everything I had been through, every lesson I had learned about cutting ties with people who drain you. I posted it on a blog called Breaking the Chains, not expecting anything, but it exploded. Thousands of hits, comments pouring in. This saved me from my toxic mother. I kicked my brother out of the house because of you. Strangers thanked me for showing them how to stand up. It's not a side hustle, not yet, just something I do between work and looking at the lake. But it's growing, and every time I hit publish, I feel stronger. Yesterday, I drove into Austin to pick up groceries, and the cashier, a girl, maybe 20, recognized my name from the blog. "You're Bonnie, right?" she said, her eyes widening. "Your post about saying no. It helped me get out of a bad roommate situation. Thanks." I smiled, shy but warm, and said, "Glad it helped." Driving back, I thought about the kid I used to be, mowing the lawn and losing everything to Jake's Legos. She would be proud of this, of me building something meaningful, something he couldn't touch. I'm not perfect. There are nights when I wonder if I've gone too far, if I could fix things instead of breaking them. But then I remember Lauren's face as she threw away that ring, the weight lifted as I walked away. I didn't just win, I won myself back. Jake was out there writhing, but I was here, steady with a view of the water and my own life. The blog was my proof, the cabin was my peace, and every sunrise was a middle finger to the past. I sipped my tea, watched the sky turn purple, and knew I no longer carried their shadow. If you're still here, thank you. I know many of you have suffered silently for your children, for your siblings, for the burdens called family. You've lived your life putting others first, and maybe you're still wondering, is it wrong to think about myself for once? I'm here to tell you, no, you're not. True love isn't about sacrificing yourself until you're exhausted. It's not about staying silent while others trample on your trust. Sometimes love means being clear, saying no, saving yourself before someone else does. If this story reminds you of anything, know that you're not alone and leave a comment below. See you in the next video.